boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
I'm not going to go into the whole case because I can't be bothered to read the whole article, to be honest. So, Boots in 2019 signed a promotional pact with Now Boxing, which was run by Cameron Dunking, who passed away earlier this year. His wife, now widow, Kelly Duncan, took over Boots' contract. It was a 4-year contract and they were supposed to get him a certain amount of fights. 4 fights for the first and second year and 3 fights for the third and fourth years. And then there was a dispute whether Kelly was competent enough or had enough experience in the realm of boxing promotions. Now, from July 2023, when Boots stopped Roman Villa, and looked very impressive in that fight actually, the complaint alleges that Boots was not offered any fights from then until the complaint was filed in February of this year. There was also a unilateral clause in the deal with Now Boxing that the deal would be extended if Boots became a world champion, which he did when he was emailed the belt in November of last year when Terence Crawford vacated the IBF strap. Now, I'm assuming Boots got his way out of the contract, whether he got the $1 million he was asking for. That's irrelevant to what I'm talking about here. Eddie Hearn took up the slack and became his promoter in April of this year. He's already defended the belt twice in 4 months, so the activity is up. He's headlining at the Wells Fargo. It was a near sellout last time against David Avanesyan. I don't know what the numbers are this time, but sometimes it's a case of be careful what you ask for. Boots wanted to stop the inactivity. The Matchroom deal has done that. Now, he might not be able to get the fights he's asked for this year against Stanionis. Stanionis has the WBA strap, doesn't he? And the other back and forth that was more public against Brian Norman Jr., the WBO champion. But he can't control that, can he? The facts are he's getting opponents in the ring. This was his mandatory. This fight had to be taken. But sometimes you have to think about things like the PBC fighters. Does the culture of inactivity become a thing where they get used to it? And when they have to fight regular, go through all the training camps and the media obligations. You look at guys like Gary Russell, he was used to fighting once a year, once every 2 years or whatever. And I don't want to hear that Boots wasn't a PBC fighter in the comment section. You look at the event section on BoxRec, it's the same promoters and same broadcasters that the PBC fighters were using for the majority of his fights in the last 4 or 5 years. PBC, no doubt about that. You know,
Chukhadzian caught Boots with that left hand and he thought he did more damage than what it did because he was going to follow up. And when he saw Boots weren't that hurt, he instinctively pulled back. He's a cautious fighter, but he's a very good fighter. Boots hurt Chukhadzian in the 3rd round, forced him into a clinch, and Boots did some good work up until the 6th round. In the 5th where he scored the knockdown, he landed that left uppercut that snapped Chukhadzian's head back, and he followed up with some hard shots, body, head, and that right uppercut put him on the canvas. It didn't put him on the canvas. He decided to take a knee. In the heat of the moment, Boots' dad in the corner, yeah, let's get him. He decided to take a knee. He was hurt. He wasn't punched to the canvas because he's a very calculated guy. This is probably the worst thing for Boots because after that, they were too KO hungry, way too KO hungry from the 6th onwards. And Karen became more defensive. He lost that ambition that he had in the first half of the fight, but he was still competitive. I wasn't thrilled to bits what I saw in the second half from Boots.
he threw his punches from too far out. He overextended, he fell in and looked clumsy. He overextended at the times he got countered. His footwork wasn't doing what it was supposed to get him in positions to punch. His opponent, he was slippery. Didn't use his feet so much to be evasive this time around. He held a lot. He did land some good left foot counters, he did. And he also countered Boots' upper body movement with his own, which makes it very hard to look good. Karen is very hard to look good against. And I think that will be proved in subsequent fights. Will it be one of them fights where it ages well for Boots? Where Karen doesn't look good against someone he's perhaps not supposed to?
I just want to explore a lot of stuff that I haven't heard people explore post-fight. And perhaps I'm giving Boots too comfortable a place to land. But Chukhadzian had 12 rounds of blueprint to study of Boots to prepare for this. And you could see he was way more confident than he was in the first fight. He wasn't sure about what to expect in the first fight. He had never been in that deep. This was never going to be that easier fight for Boots in hindsight, was it? This was the booby prize. They didn't want to take this fight. Bozy and Eddie Hearn were exploring options outside Karen Chukhadzian. The first fight was a bore fest. It's awkward. They didn't want to do this fight. Him and his dad did the best they could with the opponent. Bozy's getting a whole lot of stick, even though he's guided his son to a 33-0 ledger. 29 going the short route. Boots, he needs to be glass half full. He's got this one out the way. It's over to Eddie Hearn. What do they do? Boots said it could be time to move up to 154, hinting that he wasn't as fresh as he perhaps could have been because making 147 is becoming a chore. Not so much Eddie. This is really their decision. Yeah? This is their decision. If they let Eddie influence them to stay at 147 and it crashes and burns, let's remember, Eddie will just move on to the next project that doesn't need fixing as much as you. That's the nature of promotions. I heard Amo Williams say that Eddie Hearn was family. No, he's not. He's a boxing promoter. Yeah, keep it as cordial as you can, because that way you'll get the best out of each other, but always keep a neutral perspective on your position in the puzzle. Because there's a lot of decisions that need to be made now. Because of the indifferent, I guess you could say, performance. As Eddie Hearn was walking away from the arena, the PBC phoned him up to say the Gayasov mandatory for Stanionis and his WBA belt. We can do a step-aside deal on that one, and we can bring forward a unification against Boots, because they're obviously licking their lips at what they saw on Saturday. Boots might be prepared to roll the dice in a unification at 147, thinking, yeah, we can beat Stanionis, even though they shouldn't, in theory, be at the weight. It might revitalize them. They might feel motivated. These are the type of fights they've wanted. That's why they're on Matchroom. That's why they're on DAZN. But is the risk at staying at 147 for even one more fight too much? It has to be assessed, because that's one of the first things Boots said. It's time to move up to 154. And Stanionis' people, they're not stupid. They know the signs when a fighter is fatigued and struggling with the weight. And this is the time to get them. Even though Stanionis himself has only had one fight since 2022, he could also struggle to make the weight. Am I supposed to believe that he's been in the gym consistently for the last 2 years, training as hard as possible with no fight dates being offered to him? So it's just as risky for Stanionis, maybe even more, than it is for Boots. But this is what it's all about, isn't it? Got to take risks, got to take chances. He's older than Boots. He's 30 years of age. I think they're going to stay around for the Stanionis fight. And they've got to calculate certain things. Yes, Stanionis' people are going to look to take advantage of what they see as a depleted fighter at 147 in Boots. But Boots has also got to look at Stanionis. Is he being cashed out? One fight in 2 years. Only the good God in the sky knows how you still got a world title belt with these statistics. I remember the Butayev fight. That was ages ago. I didn't see the Maestre fight, but apparently he didn't look
like a million bucks.
They don't have no dates at the PBC. America is not holding their breath about a Gasayev Stanionis fight. I'm sure Al Heyman has no intentions of putting up the bread it would take to put that production out. And they might as well just cash out with Stanionis, let him go over to DAZN, rather than he just sit there collecting cobwebs and get stripped. Because surely they can't let him keep that belt indefinitely into 2025, which would be nearly 3 years, with one defense against Gabriel Maestre. So more than likely the fight's going to go on DAZN. And to a degree, they're cashing him out, yeah? They're going to get as much as they can out of the deal financially and cash him out. And if he can beat Boots, hey, it gives what looks like a sinking ship over there at Amazon a little bit of a lifeline.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
The breakout year was when Bam beat Quadras, seemed to come out of nowhere, then followed up and stopped Rungvisai. And it's like, yo, who's this kid here? These fights were at Superfly. This was in 2022. He punctuated the year with a points decision over Israel Gonzalez. And then 2023, he got his jaw broke against
Christian Hernandez. And we were wondering, have they pitched him in too early? And is there early signs of burnout and wear and tear? Because these are tough training camps back to back. But all Bam needed was 8 months of recovery to unify the flyweight titles against Sonny Edwards in December of 2023. And he's had 2 victories this year, jumping back up to super flyweight, taking Juan Estrada's WBC title, and then following that up with the Pedro Guevara victory. Very durable, never been stopped, 46 fights until Bam got hold of him. Now people are asking, is Bam Rodriguez a top 10 pound for pound fighter? 3 impressive stoppages on the bounce, and whether you check for lower weight fighters or not, if you're listening to this channel, this kid is the real deal. Bam is landing some very interesting punches, and it's that reach. He's got a long reach for a super flyweight, and he doesn't have to wind up and telegraph to get power in his shots. The first one too, and let's bear in mind he's a southpaw. He led with the left and landed that right cross. It was so quick, like the right hand he scored the knockdown with was back by his head in defense before his opponent's butt hit the floor. He was on his game. I think Guevara, a veteran, was trying to take Bam into the late rounds and see if his experience could come into play. But he was outgunned. He was outgunned in all departments. And you could see he was so dialed in on what needed to be done. If you look at how he kept his left hand up by the side of his face at all times, came forward and broke his man down. And that finishing right uppercut, good to watch the young fighters doing what they're supposed to do in their prime. We had Keyshawn on Friday, and we had Bam Saturday gone. Highly impressive displays by both them young dudes. At 24, Bam is looking like a veteran. The way he's controlling the distance, picking them punches. I don't see how Roman Gonzalez gets through the 12-round distance. I believe he gets stopped. Is that the route they're going next? Take out another legend? There's also Puma Martinez from Argentina, just coming off that impressive win in Japan. That'd be a great unification between him and Bam. And he reckons that Bam won't call him out, he's avoiding him. But all these PBC, Tom Brown fighters, they all want that DAZN money because the dates ain't over there at Amazon. And it's understandable. So that's another option to explore. Puma's pretty good though. Puma is pretty good. That will be a good fight. I didn't realize Martinez actually relinquished his IBF title so he could actually seek a rematch with Ioka, who he just beat. Japanese putting up the paper for these lower weight fights. Rather the paper than the title. And having to fulfill some mandatory that ain't going to pay as much. Yo, you got to do what you got to do. But nevertheless, a fight between Martinez and Bam would still be a unification. I watched the whole Martinez-Ioka fight. I only saw highlights previously. And yes, listen, good combination punching from Martinez, good aggressive boxing, and some smart back foot boxing. But if he drops his hands like that against Bam, you're getting away with it, bro. Bam is the Ring Magazine champion as well at 115. Is there a move up to bantamweight for Bam? If they're talking about this Inoue fight, perhaps 2026, late 2025, he will have to move up to bantamweight, you would assume. Pick up a strap or maybe a strap or two, if he can, at 118. But as for Bam going to 122, I don't know. Maybe the Inoue fight could be a catchweight fight if it's a big enough fight. I don't know. Could be a weight class too far for Bam.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Want to continue? You good? Give me a glove.
I believe I saw some bookies having KHALIL as high as a 20-1 favorite in this fight. Don't tell Manuel Gallegos.
When I saw the weigh-in, I was thinking, how would this bigger ass them have KHALIL fighting? Because this dude was big, right? Manuel Gallegos, big dude, Mexican. And then I realized I did see him catch the beat down against Diego Pacheco. That was at 168. How him or Diego Pacheco make 168, don't ask me. Don't ask me. So after the upset victory against KHALIL, Chris Mannix said that Gallegos said he was doing a lot of strength and conditioning and weight training to become strong at the new weight, 175. And he did look strong in there. He is now 21,
2-1 with 18 inside the distance. Khalil is 9-1-1. 7 inside the distance. The DAZN commentator said one bookmaker had him a 20-1 favorite. 20-1. Gallegos, I don't think will go on to become a world champion. You never know. But he can definitely be in some very good fights. He had his tactics spot on. He was outboxed early, and he knows he's not a boxer. So he went to the body from the first round. Even though he was getting outboxed, he went to the body. Khalil, he done a good job in picking off shots and boxing. One of the pundits for DAZN, or the commentary team, alluded to Khalil perhaps not being in shape, the way he folded. Now, I don't know if he knows something that he didn't share with us, but there was the exchange in the 4th round. And let's not get it twisted, you know, like Khalil was in a dogfight by the 3rd round, but it was that right uppercut in an exchange that hurt Khalil. And then from another exchange, he teetered across the ring into the corner where Gallegos was teeing off. In the 5th round, what a round that was. That left hand to the body took Khalil to the canvas. And he looked like he was on his way out. But them right hands he landed in retaliation. And they landed flush, some big punches. And I think he broke Khalil in the 5th. When Khalil landed them shots, and my guy just ate them, I think that broke Khalil at a stage. Boxing is psychological. Very psychological. And there's a few things about this fight that Khalil will be looking at, and his team, that they need to address. And even if Khalil was 100% right, this was a fight he still could have lost, but you can't take no shorts in this game. And if there is more to it than Chris Mannix, I believe, was saying that Khalil wasn't 100% fit, it will have to be addressed why that was. In the 7th, I knew the fight was lost. When Gallegos landed that flush jab right in Khalil's face, you could see Khalil was losing his shape, and mentally, he was falling apart. The second knockdown of the fight in the 7th, Khalil got caught and he appeared to lose concentration. An overhand right sent him down. Then he got knocked down again with a body shot. And here's the thing, man. Like, people make a big deal about quitting. And the truth is, I'd say about 99.9% of you don't know what the F you are talking about. Because in that 7th round, Khalil attempted to quit. He went down without a punch hitting him. But the referee said no knockdown, helped him back up, and the fight continued. Between rounds 8 and 9, Khalil's corner were asking, do you want to go out there or I'm going to stop the fight now? This is your last round, this is your last round. And although he said yeah, you could question if he really wanted it. Now there's a generic stereotype of quitting, like waving the white flag or waving your hand in surrender, or no mas like the ran and it's waved off. But often we get bogged down in a childish, boring, if you like, immature game of semantics. Did he show enough dog in that fight is what I'm asking. Now, whether you just accumulated too much punishment or the conditioning wasn't right, a body shot finished him off in the 9th, and a lot of people are saying it's a big upset. And it is a big upset. It's a huge win for Manuel Gallegos. So what does Khalil do? Do they go for an immediate rematch and address certain things they may believe wasn't right with Khalil going into the fight, and perhaps they can iron out these issues and avenge the loss? Or does Khalil need a couple of easy ones to ease back into it? Khalil didn't look good in the early part of his pro career. He didn't look that good, but he's improved significantly since, and it's a huge, huge setback. He was talking about the likes of Joshua Buatsi and going to that next level. The problem Khalil has is Matchroom have a vast roster of fighters. Do Matchroom have the time to baby Khalil 4 or 5 rehabilitation fights to perhaps get himself near contention of a world ranking? He's not a young kid. He's in his late 20s. I think they're going to have to ask Eddie if they can maybe have one more fight and go back and try and get it against Gallegos. And perhaps Gallegos should ask Eddie, hey, if the winner stays on, I won't mind having another shot on a Matchroom card or the rematch with Khalil. I think he's earned it.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.